Man, remember when Simpsons used to have like an actual decent story, like an actual decent plot and stuff? Of course you don't, because you were born after that. Well, you were
Exactly.
born during the end of that, so you wouldn't remember.
I don't remember Simpsons at all.
I would definitely recommend going back and watching the first 9 or 10 seasons.
I can't believe it's still going, man. Like, how?
This 30-year series. Has it been 30 years? I think it's been 30 years so far.
I mean, if it started like in the 80s,
Oh
right?
yeah, it started like 89 or 90, so like it's definitely been 30 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy psycho stuff right there. Not sure how, but it is.
Well, it was a satire of the times, and like it's not the times anymore. Like to
Yeah.
quote the show, they used to be with it, but then they changed what it was, and now they're no longer with it. And what is it is scary.
Ah, I never want to be that old. Just kill me now. Right now. And if you don't do it in this very moment while I'm recording it, you lose your chance.
Dang. Rest in fucking peace.
I'm still alive, you messed up. Man, if I ever become a famous YouTuber, which is probably never gonna happen, it would suck if time travel was invented and someone was like, alright, damn.
They just jump right to there.
No, like, I literally just looked behind me, so I think I'm safe from becoming a famous YouTuber. Or backwards time travel is impossible. One or the other.
Yeah. I mean, Stephen Hawking already did that with his fucking time travel party. But you know, it never hurts to do repeat experiments.
Welcome, time travelers. See, like, the only reason to go to that party is just to be alright, actually, no. What if, at some point in the future when backwards time travel is possible, they get to the point where everyone is at Stephen Hawking levels of intelligent, and therefore see him throwing that party in history, and we're just like, I mean, we could, but it'd be a waste of our time, because we could get the same level of discourse from, like, Gary at the local pub.
Okay, but see, there's a difference there because Gary is not a famous historical figure. Like, obviously, like, fucking Plato.
Okay, first off, you don't know anything about Gary, so don't say he's not a famous historical figure.
You know what? I'm sorry, Gary. but like I was saying, is like, I've read some of Plato's shit. He had some whack ideas, to be honest. Like, he was smart for his time, but like, I'm pretty sure that anyone in the modern era, just by virtue of having like many thousands of years to build upon Plato's ideas, can out Plato him, because you know he had to think it all up himself, you know. But like, people would still want to go talk to him because like he was the guy in his time.
Yeah, I don't get that. Like, if I was going back in time, I wouldn't want to talk to somebody because they were really smart for their time. I'd want to talk to them because I think they're an interesting historical figure, which might actually be what you're saying, and I'm just misunderstanding, but, you know.
Kinda, yeah. Because of his place and time, he was able to do those things, and then therefore you can go like ask him, "Yo, what did you mean when you said yada yada?"
But what if time... Okay, what if time works like everything that has happened was always meant to happen, and if you go back in time, you going back in time was a part of time. Like, was
Well,
a
you can
part of history.
talk to him. Like, I mean, you would know. Like, you don't have to like change the past. I just
Okay, but I'm not saying that you would have to change the past. The reason I'm bringing this up is for this one, is this part right here, which I probably should have led with. What if you go back in time to talk to Plato, and there's no Plato? And you're supposed to be Plato.
Then I go back into the future and be like, "Yo, does anyone want to be Plato? I got a hell of an opportunity for you."
Would you like to be Plato? And some guy who's pretty smart but doesn't know anything about history is like, I'll be Plato, sure. Who's that?
Imagine. Oh, that's the new hit comedy. It's like they're casting for Play-Doh.
What if Time Traveler TV is literally just people going back and being historical figures?
Man.
That would be crazy. Imagine that. Are you imagining it?
I am imagining it.
Good.
It'd be like that thing where, like, I can't think of an example right now, but you know what I mean, where, like, someone goes back in time, and they basically hand a historical figure all their ideas, and it turns out that, like, they didn't actually come up with any of them, which has always just felt really weird to me, because then those ideas just spring out of nothing. But,
No,
you know.
it's a closed time loop. They didn't spring out of nothing. They sprang from you going back in time and telling that guy or girl to do the thing. And then, after they did that thing, you read about it as a kid or a young adult or an adult or whatever, and then you went back and you were like, hey, that's a cool idea. I want to go back and talk to him. You find out he's an idiot, and you tell him those things that he's supposed to do. And he's like, yeah, tell me more about that now.
No, but I'm saying, like, if someone comes up with E equals MC squared, then, like, that makes sense. But if no one came up with it, like, if I tell Albert Einstein that because I know Albert Einstein came up with it, but Albert Einstein didn't come up with it, then, like, the idea has sprung from nothing.
It's literally a closed time.
It's closed in that it makes sense. There's no I'm not saying that, like, the universe is going to implode. Just like there's no starting point to this idea. It's sprung out of the literal ether of nothingness because no one actually proved it. I just said it, and then it turned out to be true for some reason.
Okay, so when it comes to ideas, I get where you're coming from. But when it comes to ideas, they're not a great example for this particular thing. What you want is, I believe the game was called Time Splitters. And something that happens in this game is you're in a haunted mansion at some point, and your ally for this time period is some goth chick, I guess. But you end up going through this haunted mansion, and you run into a location where you are in the roof, and you have a key, and you give that key to yourself. The future you gives you that key to the past you, to the present you. Then later on, you go over to be that future you, and you give that key back to yourself, right?
Yeah, same thing.
It's the same thing, but it's a bit more to the point of what you're saying, because literally, that key was not forged. That key was never made for those locks. It just exists in your inventory, and it is constantly cycling back and forth between future and past you.
Yeah, but see, where I beg to differ is that, like, the idea is also the same thing because, yeah, ideas are insubstantial and can be literally copied and recopied, and it's not going to, like, decay like the key is. But if the idea came from me reading about Albert Einstein, except that I told Albert Einstein that, then I never came with the idea, and the idea just kind of did the same thing that the key did. It's just there for some wacky-ass reason.
Look, man, time travel is hard. Maybe the real idea were the friends we made along the way. I don't know.
Exactly.
I think using a physical item for this description makes it a little easier to understand, and that's all I was trying to do by bringing that up.
Yeah, because with physical items, they actually have, like, they are affected and they can age, and you know that even with the fact that the key sprang from nothing, you still have to deal with the fact that that key is degrading through time, and that one day, one you is going to put that key in the lock, it's going to snap, and then you're going to be fucked.
Unless going through time like that somehow protects it from time.
Well, if it does that, then you would never age if you ever time traveled even once.
What if it only works on inorganic objects? Because technically, like an inorganic object doesn't have very many systems inside it moving around, whereas you got like a bunch of tiny little bugs inside your skin and your blood and all that stuff, just doing shit.
I mean, if that's the case, then, like, you'd think that walking through a time machine would sterilize me, but, you know.
You'd think that walking through a time machine would just basically fucking kill me. Whatever.
Yeah. If for some reason it like freezes my molecules and
No,
prevents
that's not what I'm saying. I was saying that what if it's because a inanimate object, by nature of it being inanimate, by nature of it being inorganic, is affected differently than organic material.
Oh, we're going like reverse Terminator rules here, where it's better to be inorganic than it is to be organic when you're going through time.
Well, even Terminator rules are fucking nonsense because it's like
Yeah.
you can't only organic material can travel between time periods and time machines and shit, but you can just throw a bunch of meat onto a robot and the robot will be able to just go.
It's literally like it goes by TSA rules.
TSA rules?
Actually, it's worse than TSA rules because at least the TSA is a metal detector.
Fucking TSA rules. This is where we're going with this. Okay.
Well, yeah. When you get to that level, you have made time the fundamental construct of the universe into something that just makes random ass decisions, not for any reason inherent to its function, but just because the plot thinks it should. And so time just has a personality, and time likes meat in a Terminator verse.
Mm-hmm. It's somewhat implied in Star Trek Voyager that time does have a personality, or at the very least that it's semi-sentient.
Well, yeah, because it's Star Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek's crazy, but like the episode in question is when I think they were called the Cronins, you know, like Cronus, like that guy.
Yeah.
So the Cronins, they have these time-based the weaponry and technology. Literally, the whole thing is they have time-based technology, and that's the basis of their society. So one guy designs a time ship that is capable of fundamentally altering time just with the shot of a laser. It also exists outside of time, and they've been in this ship for hundreds of years trying to rewrite history to the point that like this guy specifically, he's played by the same guy who played Red Foreman from That 70s Show, in case you're wondering.
Wow.
I don't remember that actor's name, but I love him in everything he's in. So he's literally just trying to reset time in such a way that I think it was his wife, is still alive, and that the colony they lived on was still there. But everything he does, every time he erases an entire species or fundamentally alters some aspect of their quadrant, it restores their empire to an extent because they come from a destroyed empire, but his wife is never alive. And he gets it in his head that time itself is saying no. You are fundamentally altering my laws. You are doing things that I don't want you to do. And therefore, I'm not going to give you the one thing you want. And he gets that in his head. But, and here's a bit of a spoiler for the episode. At the end of the episode, the current iteration of the timeline, the Voyager of the current iteration of the timeline, after jettisoning all of its people out of the ship because it was going to be destroyed, only has the bridge crew and, like, Neelix, for some reason, left. And they destroy his ship, somehow. They have, like, I don't remember how. They had Chakotay and Paris inside his ship because they were captured, and they were helping from the inside while Voyager was attacking from the outside, and they destroyed the ship. And time is reset to the point before he started fucking with time. To the point where he was designing the weapon, because the captain of the ship was the one who designed it. Oh, dead. And he's about to finish designing it. He's about to finish working on it when his wife comes in and says, "Hey, honey, you want to like spend some time with me because you've been cooped up all this time?" And it seems like it's implied that in the normal timeline he said no, or she didn't come in, and he was just doing his thing the whole time and created the weapon. But in this timeline, after the weapon is destroyed, he's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll come on out." So, like, there's some vague implication that time itself was like, "No, you fucked up, buddy. Don't fuck." And then now that the weapon was destroyed, and therefore time could no longer be fucked with. It was like, I guess this guy has spent enough time. I guess this guy has spent enough existence being miserable because his wife was dead. Let's throw him a bone. And the implication is that he doesn't finish the wedding.
Yeah. So, like, time has, like, an immune system style fuck around with stuff and find out kind of thing.
Sorta, yeah. To fuck around is human, to find out is divine, but, like, also, this is the same setting that has literal time limits, so...
Yeah. Like, that's the other thing, is that, like, this stuff is always selective as fuck. Like, could Q alter time if he wanted to?
Could who?
Q.
Q. Almost definitely.
Yeah.
Because
So
I'm pretty
time-
sure at the end of Next Generation, the whole deal with Next Generation was something happens that Q is, like, messing with, not messing with time, but he's basically helping Picard figure out why time is saying that humans will no longer exist.
Wow.
It's a whole heap of crock of nonsense.
So time is just a fucking diva who plays favorites.
Time is a fickle mistress.
And she makes fools of us all.
And also, she's like hell hath no fury, like a time scorned. But
It's always weird.
don't try and figure out what will scorn time or not, because you'll scorn her anyways, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, it's always weird with shows like Star Trek and Doctor Who, because they'll try to, like, personify time, but also they don't want to, like, really get into it, because, like, you know, they want to leave their writing space open for later on. So you end up with this weird thing where it's like, wait, so does time do this? Does time just let people do whatever it wants to it? Yeah, who knows. Wibbly wobbly.
See, the best way to look at time from a fictional setting, I feel like, is the way that Deadpool looks at death, sometimes. In the sense that time is totally a person, can be a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure Death in DC is a woman. I mean, sorry,
Yeah.
Marvel is a woman.
They're both women, actually.
Oh yeah, you're right, aren't you? Because in
DC, Death has skin, though, so it just depends on how kinky you want to be.
yeah, and her brother Sleep, yeah, that whole deal. I remember. Fuck, what was I talking about? Right, yeah, the best way to do it is just, like, make them a legit person and just make them fickle. None of this context of it has to be internally consistent. If you're gonna personify it, literally personify it, people are hypocrites. Like, I've said this before, I am a damn hypocrite. I am also a dumbass. It's okay to say, like, literally a lot of myths. Look at Greek myths, look at Norse myths, it's these world-ending calamities are people. World-ending calamities being gods, that's what I'm referring to. I'm not referring to, like, Jormungandr or Typhon, but also Typhon is literally a person, so is Jormungandr, even though they don't get much personification. They're just dudes in the world. Yeah, like, literally just make them a person if you're going to personify them. That way, you have an excuse when something doesn't make sense with established canon. It's like, oh, time wasn't feeling it this time, or death wasn't feeling it this time.
Exactly.
Like, that's all you gotta do. If it's gonna be that kind of deal, just commit to board.
Yeah. Like, the best example is, like, God in the Futurama universe. Where he just doesn't want to do anything. He literally sets things up so that you can't tell if he did anything.
I mean, you say that, but how can you tell that he set anything up?
Well, I mean, we did see him throw Bender back at the planet.
I mean, you say that, but how can we tell that was really him? That could have just been a satellite probe that had... Fuck. That had crashed into God, that then threw him while saying it was God.
Well, you got me there. Wasn't there an episode where, like, they had a machine or a phenomenon or something where like for like a second it like sent a message to God or like did something to God and it like fucked with some shit and then like it cut back to the episode and like that was the explanation for why the thing did what it was supposed to do and I'm not explaining this very well at all.
Wait, which show are you talking about, first of
Still Futurama.
all? Okay, so explain this again.
Okay, so after we've seen God and we know what God does and what his shenanigan deal is.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about when Bender found the time travel code.
That's it.
And
Tell
that
me what
was
happened.
in one of the weird Futurama movies that were turned into a season.
That's right. Yeah. But why did he do that? Like, I only remember that it happened. Like, I don't even remember the fucking context.
I don't remember either.
Damn.
I remember that it was tattooed on Fry's ass, for anyone who's afraid of spoilers.
That's what it...
But
Okay, so when they said the code, it got God to wake up and send them back into the past. I really liked that.
But the way it was portrayed, it seemed like it was literally just an automatic response from God.
Yeah, that's why I love that, because it's like, yeah, we personified a fundamental part of the universe. It does whatever the fuck it wants to do. But also, sometimes you could just fucking hack it.
I mean, it is basically a computer.
That's what I mean, man. That's why I like the God in Futurama.
The God in Futurama, like just the robot God.
Exactly. Although he did make humans implicitly, I think. But they never really delved into that.
Man, humans are crazy.
I mean, you gotta be to live in this place. What's that shitty office joke? You don't have to be crazy to work here, but it helps. It's up there with such classics as Working Hard or Hardly Working. That's one of my favorite fucking genres of humor. It's just like fucking dad joke tier. This joke isn't even funny, but the fact that it's not funny makes it funny.
I understand completely, yes. That is one of my favorites too. Like, I will repeatedly, say shitty jokes for the sake of saying shitty jokes. Just because I think they're hilarious. And the thing about that is, when other people don't laugh, that makes it funnier to me, because it's like, no, this joke fell flat on its face, and that's what it was intended to do.
This was the goal.
This was the goal. Like, this was it all along. It was always supposed to be not funny. It was, wait. Fuck. It's not funny, always has been, that's it. There it is. Okay, let me figure out a way to do this without dying. Alright, time to break down some more copper. See, copper is the problem in this, because it's annoying to get all this copper, but the tin that you need to combine it with is so much easier to get.
So it's unevenly balanced in work.
Yeah, basically. Let's get this over here. This will probably cause me to fall, but whatever. I guess it didn't. Ooh, can I stand up here? Sort of. This will cause me to fall.
Yeah.
Oh, need more tool. Yeah, so like, copper veins are huge, and they dig underground. and you have to go this far down just to get a significant portion of them. Can I look under that tree's skirt? Yes, I can. Oh my.
Kinky.
Look at
Wow.
that tree.
Homina, homina, homina.